Hey guys, part 3 of my 6.87 patch analysis, and we are now on to Heroes. Abaddon, Curse of Avernus is slow, is increased from 5, 10, 15, 20 to 8, 12, 16 and 20. So same at level 1 but better in the first 3 levels, diminishing. Felt like he was going to get a bit more of a buff than this, but like I say, this is a strength originally hero patch, so he's going to benefit from it anyway. But the casual point in Curse of Avernus is even better now. Ancient Apparition, Cold Feet cooldown reduced from 5, 13, 10 and 9 to 13, 11, 9 and 7. Okay. Cold Feet damage timing's changed. Okay, so minor buffs to Ancient Apparition, nothing too big. Okay. Arc Warden. Flux, they've balanced his abilities out a fair bit. It's quite cool. They've also changed the way you have to play him. I kind of like it. I either came up against Arc Wardens or tried to do the same thing, and if they were good, they were really good and it was really annoying. Or if they were bad, they were really bad and it was really annoying. So I think this changes the way you need to play him. Flux no longer slows magic immune units. I don't think it should have done. I've got this thing about when it's QW or E ability, I don't like stuff that goes through BKBs. It just kind of irritates me, especially in certain aspects it does anyway. Flux is now purgeable, as it should be. Flux slow reduced to, instead of 50%, it scales up to 50%. So yeah, general nerfs to Flux, which is that really annoying Q ability he's got. Like I say, it's just stupid. Glad it's purgeable and no longer slows. Still does the damage though. Magnetic field cooldown reduced from 50 to 35, 30, 25, 20. The duration of it is increased from 3.54, 4.55 to 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5. So it starts the same but scales better. Magnetic field now only evades attacks done from outside, so melee heroes are not going to struggle at all against Arc Warden when it comes to hitting him inside his magnetic field. And if he puts it around the towers as well, however ranged heroes are. So buff, nerf. Spark Wraith mana cost reduced from 100 scaling to 130 to a constant 80, so buff. Activation delay reduced from 3 to 2, buff. Means you'll be able to guarantee drop it onto people a lot easier. 3 seconds was a lot longer. It now applies a purge. So complete nerf, bit more of a balance, buff, like flat out buff. Damage has been rescaled. It's been scaled down a little bit, obviously because of its mana cost and stuff like that. It would be ridiculous, but still the same damage. Again, this is going to change the way that you have to play him. Magnetic field is going to be a casual thing that's going to be put down to stop against like ranged people. He's probably going to counter ranged heroes a fair amount. Tempest Double no longer costs HP or mana. Obviously, it used to take a percentage of his mana and HP pool to do it. Doesn't anymore. Tempest Double ability item cooldowns now persist on the unit. This is good. It used to be broken. He used to obviously have a Midas and a Necro book through his Tempest Double. He'd then be able to refresh or just wait for the cooldown and then do it again. And then Midas and Necro book would be off cooldown. So it's now considered its own unit, basically. So even when it's off, it still has the cooldown. The cooldown will still tick while it's not active, while it's not out. Do you know what I mean? So the next time it comes off, the cooldown will have continued to do so while it was on cooldown. Do you know what I mean? So it just means you can't abuse the Midas and Necro book kind of thing. Like I said, this is why it's going to have to change the way that you build him, and more so as we continue on. Tempest Double no longer replicates item drops upon death. Rapier, Gem, no longer viable on him. Well, they are still viable, but you're gonna have to start team fighting with him a little bit more and contributing more to team fights and to your team. I think they're trying to move away from the rat tactics with Arc Warden specifically, which is good. I say people have to figure out a different way. I think with these, they're trying to get in close to being viable in captain's mode, so that they can see what the pros can do with him. Because as far as I know, they just don't play him at all. Tempest Double cooldown reduced. So because he can't do all this sort of stuff and he's got longer cooldown, you can now use it more frequently. And it doesn't last 20 seconds anymore. It scales from 12 to 14 seconds, which is a nerf. However, if you decide to go like Radiant Octarine on him, you can reduce this cooldown more, and you can have one up most of the time. Tempest double cast point increase, so he didn't have a cast point, now has a very slight one. Strength growth increase, so he's going to get tankier as it goes on. Intelligence growth increased slightly, so both of these have increased slightly, making him scale into the late game a little bit better. Again, I think this is going to push more towards him being a bit of a team fighter. It's going to be interesting to see how this works. It looks quite balanced, it looks quite good. Less cancerous, but certainly. Like I say, it was cancerous in both, like, when it was winning and losing, it was still, if you were against it and it was winning, it was horrendous. If you got it on your team and they were obsessed with doing the split push thing and it wasn't working, people shut it down properly, it was just completely useless. So I played with too many that like rush rapier, and then instead of sitting in base and doing it, they'd actually try and get out and they get killed and drop the rapier. I've even seen them get taken out of the fountain and drop a rapier. It was just irritating. So no more rapiers in Art 1, I don't think. 90% certain, which is good. Axe. As I was saying about the blade mail, just to add to that, counter helix damage from physical to pure. The damage has been reduced to reflect this to make it a little bit more balanced, because that would be insane. So physical to pure, early on, the fact that it was physical, you didn't really have a great deal of armor anyway to try and reduce how much damage that did. So I think it's a slight nerf to counter helix in lane earlier, a little bit. However, late game, that pure damage is going to be nuts, man. He's going to do a lot with it. On top of having his blade mail, it's going to be a little bit naughty. I've got a feeling Axe is going to be back to being its broker status this patch. So, like I say, it's either a strength or an agility carry, and if it a strength or agility patch, if it's an agility one, Axe counters agility heroes, most of the big ones, pretty hard. People like anti-mage, Axe doesn't care if you take his mana away from him, he's not really that bothered. As long as once he's got his blink call off on you, he's got all he wants out of it. Slark, like I say, I like all the item changes to benefit Slark and would look forward to using them. However, Axe, it is horrendous to go against the Slark. So I don't know, I think Axe could possibly be the broken hero this patch. Enfeeble mana cost reduced from 95 scaling upwards to just a flat 95. Might encourage you to level it a little bit more rather than just putting the value point into it, because you tend to put the value point in, then the other stuff's a lot more valuable in lane, so you don't level it after lane, especially for the fact that it just costs you more mana. And I don't know, it might make it a bit more valuable to pick it up. I mean, a lot of people do prefer stats because Bane is really squishy, so we'll see. Beastmaster, Call of the Wild Hawk's day vision reduced from 7, 1000, 1300 to 1600 to 5, 750, 1000, 1250. So that was a big decrease, and the same goes for the night vision as well. It's a big jump down. This was the main thing that made him broken. He just gave an insane amount of vision with his hawk. So that's been nerfed. I was expecting him to nerf the slow a bit on the board, because it was just, you had two of them on you, it was just a nightmare. So, but then again, a lot of people get annoyed with something and they want to see it nerfed into the ground, but that's not good. You don't want to nerf stuff into the ground. You want it to still be, you want it to be pickable. Do you know what I mean? You don't want it to not be picked. You want to go into a draft watching a pro game and expect anything to come out, whereas like you just know what you're never going to see because it's crap and they're not going to pick it. So this is a balance. They're doing this cleverly, actually. Let's think of it. Bloodseeker, Agceptor added. Details: grants 3 charges to Rupture with 40-second replenish. Cast point of Rupture has been improved from 0.6 to 0.4. Strength growth increased to 2 to 2.4, so he scales better into a late game. But more importantly, you can now Rupture 2 people, or you can Rupture 1 and go somewhere else and Rupture a different one, and by the time you get there, your Rupture will be close to being off cooldown again. This could be ridiculous. The only thing that I will say about this is Agceptor is not a viable pickup because he has much more important ones. This may work for a 4-position support jungle Bloodseeker, rather than trying to carry a game. You can, any sort of mobility heroes, you can take them out of the fight pretty easily with a Rupture, and you can now do so with 2. I think this is a lot of Agceptors that they added. Just I eventually look at them and just go, yeah, that'd be alright if you've got an Alchemist in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's really appealing. It is actually really appealing, but I just, like I said, it depends how you play them. It's only going to work if you get the 4 position, you get a Midas, and you get a bit greedy with it. but he doesn't offer too much in the way of supporting, so I don't know. We shall see. I'd like to give that one a go. I'd like to go in and literally just say to my team, like, look, I'm going in the jungle, but I'm playing support. I'll buy support items, I'll buy wards, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, pick carries and stuff, and I'll support lane with silence and so on. So it'll be interesting to see. Bounty Hunter, Shadow Walk mana cost increase. This is what I was saying before, like about Lotus Orb. By the time you do pick up the Lotus Orb, though, I mean, this is going to be next to nothing. It just means you've got to be more conservative with your mana, maybe take out an extra clarity at the start of the game. Brewlings. This is all damage type changes, like I was saying earlier about them trying to get rid of a few of them. Is Brewlings have changed their damage type. But first of all, I'm going to go through this. Is Earth Brewling now has Demolish, which does 150 bonus damage to buildings. So if you pop a Brew Split, you can just send your Earth Panda up to a building and just start hitting on it and use the abilities you know. And your Earth one has the stun, so you can throw a stun out, go and start hitting a building, and just like 150% of that damage is a lot to buildings. So that's something we could see happening. I'd like to see a resurgence of Brewmaster. He's a fun hero. But Primal splits, so the Earth and Storm Panda damage types from Pierce to Hero, Brewling's armor types from Strong to Hero, Earth attack damage reduced. This is all to balance attack damage rescaled. Brewling's fire attack was already here. So this is all to kind of balance the damage types. This is like a balancing, like I say, it's just to get rid of these confusing damage types. Storm Brewling's Wind Walk Backstab damage increase from 100 to 160. Also benefits from attack temperatures. Oh right, okay, cool. So yeah, like I said, it's just damage changes. I mean, this is quite a big one though. This is cool. Demolish. Like I say, I think you just stun someone and then just run off and start hitting a building. Maybe I don't know. We shall see. Bristleback. Bristleback's damage threshold reduced from 230 to 210, so he's going to be throwing out quills a lot more frequently now when you hit him from behind, because that's only 20 damage, but when that's proccing on Bristleback, which has reduced damage, 20 is actually quite a lot. Septigoo range increase from 600 to 700. Again, that's another, if I've got an Alchemist on me as well, it's very, very situational that you're going to need to Septigoo people. It's gimmicky, it's fun. That's literally, I've picked it up once, and that was when we were miles ahead. I was playing an offlane Bristle, our carrying our mid, we're just destroying everyone, and we were like, I don't know, 32 for 2, full 3-2-2 mode activated, so I just picked up Scepter. Centaur Warrunner. These are two heroes that aren't picked up too much at the moment, but if this really is going to be a strength patch, then they could be getting picked up anyway without too much buff. So that's why I feel like these buffs are quite minimal. Double Edge cooldown has been reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. Sunspell will be happy. Stampede duration increased from 3.75 so an extra 0.25 seconds longer. Can be a difference between life and death sometimes, but the double edge cooldown just means later on he's going to be able to farm up more items just a little bit quicker. Once you've got your magic resistance to reduce the damage from it, you've got like a heart and stuff like that. But once you get your heart, you're not going to want to go off farming anyway. Like I say, you can clear creep waves a little bit faster now, I think, as well. So small buff to him, I'd say. Small, but no, actually, I don't know. If you'd consider getting an Octarine on him, reducing this even further, could be quite fun. We'll see. Chen, Hand of God no longer fully heals creep. This is, at first when I saw this, I thought, oh, no, I expected more out of that. I mean, obviously, you had the nerf to the strong early game creeps for him anyway. So once you add this to it, it does actually make it pretty big. What tends to happen with Chen, obviously at level 1, Hand of God's alright. It's not massively powerful, but it would fully heal your creeps. So you'd send your creeps in to get off the nets and the ensnares and the stuns, get all that sort of stuff, and they take a load of damage. Then your team would jump in, they take a bit of damage, then you just heal it all up. It's now not going to fully heal his creeps, which means he's going to get obliterated. His army's going to get obliterated a lot faster. So this is actually quite a big nerf to Chen. Clockwork battery assault damage increased. This is one of the ones I've actually seen as well. I've seen a few of them, but this is what I'm going to point out. That battery assault damage is actually pretty legit. The person I played with actually leveled it over Rocket Flare, more just to see. I don't know if it's going to be viable to do it that way. But early on, that damage is nuts. He just was running people down with it. It was pretty fun to watch. Obviously, because he was on my team. Minor cleanups, power clubs, pushback, distance, and duration changed. So it pushes back 2 units less, but it does it over a 0.01 second period. So, like it says, minor cleanup. I don't think many people are going to notice that. Crystal Nova cooldown reduced from 12 to 12, scaling down to 9. Arcane Aura self-regen from 6 to 8, so buffs to Crystal Maiden overall, which means level 4 Arcane Aura and level 4 Crystal Nova, you're going to be spamming it a bit more. Dazzle Poison Touch range increased from 600 to 600, scaling up to 750. This is pretty cool, actually. Might consider getting Aether Lens on Dazzle now. That'd give it a pretty insane Poison Touch range. This is to get Poison Touch picked up more often, which is good. I've got a friend of mine who loves using Poison Touch, and I always synergize with him for that reason, getting someone like Ursa or something like that to chase people down. It just means he's just going to be leveling this with a bigger smile on his face, so that's cool. Poison Touch is a pretty underrated spell. With the cast range being increased, you can do it from a much safer distance as well. Should be quite fun to see. Spirit Siphon on Death Prophet. They've done to this what I thought they should have done pretty much straight away. No longer grants vision, it shouldn't have done. Spirit Siphon, this is a big one. Change from pure to magical, so it no longer goes through spell immunity. So you can't cast it on BKB targets, you can't drain it. It was just ridiculous that you beat someone with BKB be wailing on Death Prophet, and she'd just be siphoning your health while she was at it. It was just nuts. It was completely insane for me. I was just like, oh my god, really? She's going to scale with this damage amp thing as well for her spells, with the whole intelligence thing. Where's the damage is roughly the same with basic magic resistance. So the more magic resistance you get, the less this is going to do. So magic resistance is back to being built up against Death Prophet. I say back to, it should be built up against it. Yeah, I just don't think they should have ever been pure. So my dog and his loud claws decided to make a load of noise. Thanks, mate. Ruined the video. Spirit Siphon duration increased from 5 to 6 seconds. I think this ties in with the damage thing. Spirit Siphon buffer range reduced from 300 to 250. Reduced. Okay, so that's the movement speed increase thing. So you've got to be close for it. Base strength reduced by 1. So 20 HP at the start. But she gets more anyway because everyone does. Disrupt Kinetic Field AoE increased from 525 to 340. It's really noticeable as well. It's huge. It is absolutely massive. It means you've got to get your ult spot on it, otherwise people can like literally just walk to the edge of your kinetic field and just not take the damage from your ult. Dragon Knight, I think this hero is going to be really, really good this patch. The buffs he's had recently, I've been like, oh my god, this hero is so good. I like him as well. He's really good, but I think he's going to really be able to hold his mid lane against people now. Breathe Fire attack damage reduction increased, so instead of scaling from 20 to 35%, it is a flat 35% at all levels. So i.e. at level 1, it's going to be really good. You're just going to be able to outlast hit people very early on, especially with a damage increase of 4. Breathe Fire cooldown has been rescaled from 12, from 14 scaling to 11. Don't think that nerf anywhere near damages these two. Like I say, he's going to be able to really hold his own in mid lane now. I'm looking forward to playing some Dragon Knight actually. Gust cast point improved from 0.4 to 0.25. So she's going to be able to get that off a little bit quicker. It's going to be harder to tell when she's going to do it. Like I said, they've not changed her too much, and I think that's because of the items that they've put in. That Hurricane Pike is going to make her pretty powerful, I think. Because it's going to give her mobility and it's going to give her attack range as well as a passive thing, so it's going to be pretty big on her. Spirit Boulder Smash knockback speed reduced 1200 to 900. Base movement speed reduced from 305 to 295. Nerfs to Earth Spirit. Seems like pretty heavy ones as well to me. Boulder Smash is going to be much more dodgeable. Even though it tends to, a lot of Earth Spirits will try and do it as close range anyway, but it just means the long range ones are going to be easier dodged. I feel like this is a pretty heavy nerf to him. To remove 10 movement speed. Remove 10 movement speed from him is pretty insane. I think everyone was saying how he's in a pretty good place. He doesn't need too much. I feel like this is a bit heavy. I don't know why it's as high as down to 900, maybe just 1,000 or something, but hey, we'll see. He's still got so much. Right. Rework Scepter on Shaker. I'm so glad they did this because I had a friend who picked the Scepter once. I was like, why have you done that? And he was like, double damage basically, innit? I was like, no, it's double damage after the first initial target. You may as well get a refresher off. And he was like, oh yeah. It's like, what's the point in that, Ags? I was like, yeah, exactly. This is hilarious. Enchant Totem becomes a 900 range ground ability target, causes you to jump in the air and land at a target spot, casting Enchant Totem there. Self-casting the ability will make it behave in the original form without jumping. This is really, really fun. He literally just leaps into the air and lands. It looks really, really funny. But it's also a little bit of at first I was thinking it's decent for initiation, because you'll be able to like leap in and Enchant Totem and Echo Slam, but because you leap in and then you've got the animation, it kind of does give people a chance to react to it, so you're still going to want to blink in an Echo Slam. The only thing it's good for really is for fun, and it's a pretty good escape thing as well. Like I say, 900 range is pretty big and you can literally just leap for it. There's a bit of an animation for it though, so fast heroes will still be able to keep up with you with it, but it is funny. But you can jump over terrain and stuff like that, which is pretty broken. So yeah, it looks really funny, and it is kind of cool. If your ult's on cooldown and there's a team fight going off and you've got your fissure off, you're like, oh screw it, I may as well go in and try and enchant totem. So like I say, it's 900 range, but like the enchant's pretty good. It does do a bit of damage, does a decent amount of stun, so it's alright. It is fun, so go and try it out. Elder Titan, this here has fallen off, but like I say, it could be a strength patch, so he could be alright. Echo Stomp damage increased from 85 scaling to 110 to from 80 scaling to 110 to 85 scaling to 160, so that is a 50 damage increase at max level. Echo Stomp grace period for waking up units with damage from 1.65 to 0.8, so it takes longer for them to wake up after you hit them. So small buff to him, quite a big buff to Echo Stomp. That's quite a lot of damage at level 4. So see if he gets picked up a little bit more. Enchantress, impetus damage reduced from 15 to 25% to 14 to 22%. Impetus max damage reduced from 2,500 to 1,750. Max damage effectively reduced from, we'll go straight from max, from 625 at max to 385. Big nerf to her damage output, as it should be. She was so strong early. She still is going to be strong early. Even with the Satyr Tormentor nerf to their mana pool, she's still going to be really strong. But the problem with Enchantress was she was really strong in the early game. She scaled well into the mid game because she had creeps and she had a decent amount of damage. And then late game, she was a right-clicking goddess. It was just ridiculous. She used to... A 4-position support that can put out that much right-click damage is just broken. So I'm really glad they've nerfed it. It just means that she's not going to be able to do that anymore. She was nuts, and we were seeing her getting banned a lot in pro matches. So it's a heavy nerf to her impetus, but it balances the hero overall, if you ask me. So that's cool. I'm happy with that. Enigma, just to put a note on it, I played my first game with Enchantress this patch and I destroyed everyone. I've never played it before and that shouldn't happen at all. Fixed demonic conversion not working on Beastmaster's Bolt or Hook. Okay, probably should have always happened. I didn't know that happened, but it should have. Faceless Void, I'm glad they didn't destroy him. I thought they were going to. Time Walk cast range increased, so he Time Walks further. Time Walk cast point increased, so 0.1 second longer that he's going to do it, so you have a little bit more grace period to be able to stop him time walking away if you don't stack your stuns correctly. Time dilation cooldown increased, needed, from 36 to 18 to 40 to 22. Yeah, definitely needed. Time dilation, I feel like it could have been nerfed a little bit more, maybe, because 18 seconds, I mean, team fight's going to be over anyway. You tend to use it in your chrono and stuff. But time dilation slow rescaled. This is good. This is at 8 at max level. Don't know if you're going to want to bother leveling it past 2. Or you might level it to 2 and then go back for your bash, maybe. I don't know. But time dilation, it definitely didn't nerf. It was really, really good. It just stuck around way too long. Time lock no longer deals double damage inside Chronosphere. Time lock damage increased to counter this from 40, 50, 60, 70 to 50, 75, 100, 125. So now as a standard right clicker, when his Chronosphere is not online, Faceless Void hits hard. When he procs his bashes, you give him some attack speed, which people are doing, he's going to be hitting really hard. Scepter no longer increases Chronosphere's duration. So this is a slight nerf to the off-lane Void build, where you used to build the Ags, the Vlad's, Blink Dagger, and just initiate for your team. This is more, for me, overall, a buff to Wagamama's style of Faceless Void, where you pick up the Vanguard, you pick up the Radiance, and then you go into attack speed and stuff like that. He's gonna that for me is, if anything, been made better by this slight increase to his cast range. So yeah, they've slight nerfs to abilities, but they were needed. I will say they were needed, especially to time dilation. Chronosphere duration was a bit of a surprise, but it's good. So yeah, he's not relying on his Chronosphere anymore because it doesn't increase duration and it doesn't get the double damage from the time lock. He's going to be able to fight outside of his cooldown a lot more. So I just don't think you're going to pick up Scepter on him anymore, really. You're going to find people are going to be experimenting a lot more with carry Void build again, but he needs to be built tanky. Gyrocopter rework Scepter. Warning: this is possibly for me the worst Scepter upgrade in the entire game now. It is awful. Adds a side gunner that fires automatically at random enemy units within a 600 AoE every 1.4 seconds. Same firing rules as Rocket Barrage. Fires while disabled but not whilst hidden from the map, e.g. when affected by Iceland Imprisonment or Disruption, but does not attack while invisible and is disabled by break. It is rubbish. He's lost 4 basic attack damage as well. It is awful. It's so poor. It's just one of your standard attacks that just goes off by itself every 1.4 seconds. Yeah, Gyrocopter ends up hitting hard. It's really, really gimmicky. Like, you can be running away from someone and you'll still be attacking them. You can be chasing someone and attack move and he'd still just do automatic attacks, which it's just one of those. It's like if Alchemist is in the game and he's giving everyone a Scepter, including people who don't need Scepters and don't have a Scepter upgrade, you go, oh, alright, I'll take it. Do you know what I mean, kind of thing. Obviously not that much, but you'll take it if an Alchemist gives it to you, but just you don't build it. It's terrible. His previous one was better for me, and that was still poor. The global ult was still poor, but it was better than this. It's rubbish. I've played with it. It's rubbish. I actually played a game with Shane Nomad with it, and he was laughing his head off. We were all laughing about it because it was in the test client, but I don't think he'll do it again. Berserker's blood attack speed on Huskar increased from 196 going to 280 to 220 going to 340. That is huge. Don't want Huskar back. The buff to Armlet as well. He's going to be hitting insanely fast. He's going to be rivaling Alchemist. Oof. Okay, Invoker. Oh, poor sweet Invoker. Invoke spells now have a cast point of 0.005 seconds. I don't think anyone is going to notice that much, to be honest. So it's 10 real abilities. So not when you're trying to activate his orbs or his invoke. His DNF spells or whatever you've got them bound to. Cold Snap is now dispellable. Cool. Next Cold Snap, it was broken early on. It should be dispellable. Ghost Walk cooldown increased by 10 seconds. Don't think that's too much of an effect. I just feel you use it to run away and keep it that way, and once 35 seconds have passed, you're gone anyway. You're not going to really use it again. Slight nerf though. Tornado Vision reduced from 600 to 250, so the AoE of the ability, so it's not as wide as it used to be. It used to like clip people, the tornado, and this is a pretty big nerf for me. It used to just clip people in the tornado. You're now going to be a lot more accurate with this, or use it into some sort of stun or something like that. You are going to have to be more accurate with it. Forge Spirit health and mana changed from Quas based to Exhort based, so basically it switched it. Your Forge Spirit health used to come from Exhort, so the more you leveled Exhort, so you were playing the Quas Exhort build, you used to go 404, usually, obviously it used to change occasionally, but then you used to put all your points into Quas, you probably will still do, and that used to increase the health of your Forge Spirits. It now doesn't. You have to Exhort. You now have to continue to level Quas to get more health for your Forge Spirits, which is something people don't normally do. So it's a tough one, and then Exhort is still going to increase their damage and stuff. So Forge Spirits, pretty big nerf to them for me, because they are effectively going to stay at level 4 like they used to. They're going to be much more killable. Base Intelligence reduced from 22 to 16, and he's had a damage increase to match it accordingly. Again, this is going to require better play. Tornado Vision thing means you are going to have to be more accurate. Oh right, okay. So Tornado used to give a 600 width vision, even though the abilities was 200 in width. Right? Oh, okay. I've misread this. My bad. Tornado. So you used to have a 200 The actual ability used to lift things in 200 path, but you used to get vision of 600. Okay, so you get less vision from tornado, so it can't be used for vision. Like, can be, but okay, cool. No, not that big of a nerf then. I thought that was a pretty heavy nerf. I was like, was it really 600? That seemed really wide. So yeah, base intelligence reduced, base damage increased the same. So slight nerf. That means this is his damage amp thing, but he is still going to stack up on intelligence. I think this goes back towards picking up stuff like Orchid and possibly going into that Bloodthorn thing for him later. Again, like I say, don't pick it up fast, or going into Yules. Good nerfs. Yeah, they are good nerfs. Cold Snap Dispellable is pretty good. People like Anti-Mage can now Manta it off, which did used to be a bit of a problem with him. So nerfed, not into the floor. Forge Spirit nerf means it's going to be a little bit less efficient with his farming. I think maybe Quaswex from Boka might come back. Might be the case. I don't know, this is a nerfed Quaswex. Well, it's Quasexort as well. We shall see. Macrofire distance increase from 900 to 1400. It's no longer unit targetable, and the scepter duration is from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. Nuts. Macropie is going to be absolutely massive. Try and defend push high ground against the Jakira is going to be absolutely horrible. Trying to defend it against him as well. He's just going to throw it up there, isn't he? So that should be a lot of fun. That is pretty strong. Jakira's a fun hero as well, so I would like to see him get played a little bit more. Juggernaut Healing Ward now follows Juggernaut by default. So as soon, as soon as you pop a Healing Ward on the ground, if you don't command it to do anything, it will just follow him, which is pretty good. I like that. It makes it a little bit easier. A lot of big players going to a noob can't micro healing more, so it just makes it a bit easier. How you can do it, I mean, I've got it all, I usually have it bound, but it just saves me having to press that button, so I'm not bothered. Just lazy, if anything. Movement speed increase on Cottle. Cottle, oh man, he may as well be renamed Usain Bolt. That is, I think he's the highest in the game now. I think Luna's like 330 or something. That makes him pretty fast. I like Cottle as well. So it'll be interesting to see him. It's going to be more difficult to chase him down and annoy him if you're a support. So, because he is ridiculously squishy. Conquer. Torrent damage is now dealt evenly over 8 ticks. It used to be half of the damage was dealt at the start, and then the other half was dealt evenly over 10 ticks. So now you're going to see the damage hit over. So you're not going to take the initial, but you're going to see it tick. Torrent stun duration increased. I don't know how that's going to tie in with that magic block item. Torrent stun duration increased from 1.53 to 1.6, so it stuns for ever so slightly longer. 1.53 seems weird. They just seem to be rounding it up here, tidying stuff up a little bit. Torrent mana cost reduced from 120, scaling from 90 to 120, so a little bit more spammable for him. And base armor increase, making him a slightly stronger laner. Maybe considering being an off laner now, maybe, or back in mid with this mana cost reduction, maybe. I don't know. Gone are the days where Kunk used to be a big time mid hero. Legion Commander. Jewel no longer ignores disarm and ethereal states on targets. I don't think it ever should have done it. It was ridiculous. Jewel scepter duration has been increased. It's another one. I still don't think people are going to pick it up. I think it's an alchemist gift and that's about it. She needs other stuff. But this is good. That means Jewel. That also means that hexed units won't attack during Jewel. This is just the way it should be. That's a fix, if anything. Yes, maybe a nerf, but it was a mechanic that shouldn't have been the way it was. Lich, Frost Blast and Chain Frost are now slows that are independent debuffs. That means the slow now stacks, so he's going to be a slow god in team fights. It's going to be really annoying. Chain Frost no longer jumps to zombies. I wasn't aware that it did, but cool, it shouldn't anyway. Infest can now only target Ancients with levels 2 and 3. Thank God. I am sick of the rush Ags eat a Pudge with Rot and Radiance and then get Radiance yourself and run around in a big creep. That was just annoying. That'll still happen at level 2 and 3, but it just means people can't. Having an ancient creep at level 6 is just insane, man. You just need to run around with a black dragon just killing everything and pushing lanes. It was very obnoxious and very annoying. He has got a strength gross increase from 2.5 to 3 though, so he's going to get tankier as the game goes on, so going to be less likely to be sat inside a creep because he's going to have a lot of health to survive. With this being a strength patch, I'm glad that this is a small nerf and then a minimal buff because I think he could be pretty strong. Again, Armlet being buffed the way that it was as well. Man fighting lifesteal is going to be a lot harder. Lone Druid, Spirit Bear and Tangle now uses pseudo random distribution. They are heading more towards pseudo random with everything, as they probably should do, because it shouldn't be luck based. It should be based on a player's skill, and pseudo random does ensure that for me. Battlecry damage reduced from 90 to 50 scaling to 50 to 70 scaling to 130. So slight nerf to Battlecry. Only small nerf to Lone Druid. A lot of people complained about him earlier on, but he's kind of died off a little bit. This is now down to being like a really good Lone Druid player. So interesting to see what Bulldog thinks of this. But again, this is a mechanic thing. Pseudo random, like I said, if you're going to get someone like Admiral Bulldog who knows his mechanics, knows his Lone Druid, he's going to be stood in a. He's going to be watching what he's doing. He's going to watch his bear. His bear's going to hit a creep 4 times, and Entangle's not going to proc, and he's going to go right. Pseudo random is going to state that I have a high chance of rooting on my next attack. So he's going to try and make sure that his next attack from that bear is on a hero, and he can get a root. He'll be hitting a creeping lane. 2-3 hits, no root, be like, right, now I'm going to go on the hero, and he will, and that is going to come down to knowledge and paying attention to what's going on. So this is going to separate the men from the boys when it comes to Lone Druid plays. Agility growth increased on Luna from 2.8 to 3.3, so she's going to start hitting a lot harder and getting a lot more armor as the game progresses. Cool, not too much of a buff to her, because like I say, this is an agility / strength patch. I think intelligence heroes have died. Magnus base HP regen increased by 0.5. Base damage increased by 4, giving him a stronger lane presence, maybe. Try and get him back onto the mid. Medusa, Stone Gauge damage amplification increased from 37 to 50 to a flat 50%. Okay, painful at level 1, but the duration is rescaled to be less at level 1, the same at level 2, and then more at level 3. Stone Gauge slow reduced from 50 to 35%, so seems like a Stone Gauge balance overall there, really. The damage amp is pretty heavy. It's like she's going to do a lot. If you've got to be more cautious around her rule. You can't get truly caught out by it. You've got to get away from it. Doesn't last as long early, but it lasts long later, so it gives you a chance to adapt, and the slow's reduced as well. Base damage increased on Meepo by 4. Glad they've only been, they've been very careful with this. He could be very annoying. If he ever gets over buffed, he gets very annoying, because there's very few very good Meepo players out there, but they will just abuse it. Mirana, Scepter added. This thing is hilarious. I've seen this one. This is fun. Passively triggers Starstorm every 8 seconds. If there are no units to affect, the spell waits until there is a nearby enemy. Does not trigger if the enemy does not see you. Passive procs are disabled by break. So, at first I was just like, yeah, why would you buy something that puts something on autocast? It doesn't. It does a second one. It actually ends up doing over 1,000. If you find someone on their own and you trigger the passive Starstorm and your own, you do over 1,000 damage to them. This is a very, very, very heavy nuke. Mirana's one of those heroes where you struggle for items to build that give you both tankiness and damage. I think this is actually pretty good for it. I can see this getting picked up every now and again. So it's a decent Scepter upgrade. It's not by any means broken just yet, but it is pretty good. Morphling, replicate damage dealt increase from 50 to 8%. At first I was like, that is massive, and it is massive. The replicate damage, he can now farm with it, but he does tend to use it. It's not going to affect team fights too much, because as a Morphling you tend to position your replicate in a safer place so you can jump out of team fights. Hybrid cooldown reduced from 120 to 70. Not that anyone ever gets hybrid on him anyway. But yeah, this is probably good for farming early on, but later it's not going to really affect the game too much. Naga Siren mirror image illusions damage increase from 20 to 30% scaling to 25% to 40% scaling. That's quite a lot. Well, it's 5 at all levels, but it's still it soon adds up when you've got all those illusions of her. Song of the Siren set to regen from 8 to 10%. I'm yet to see this actually be picked up, to be honest, but I've always looked at it and thought, I don't really play Naga, but support Naga picking up a Scepter could be pretty good for healing up your team. Song of the Siren now affects units like golems. I think that just means it affects unit type golem type units that are normally, because they were a spell immune and now they've got spell reduced, that probably should have affected them. But yeah, I feel like this is close to being a viable pickup on a support Naga when support Naga is viable, and I think the support Naga could be viable with these small changes. 40%, like 5% damage increase is pretty good, especially with the changes to the Fusel Blade as well, because obviously that illusion's going to hit for less with it, but they get the bonus damage increase from the percentage. So that kind of balances that one out, but she's actually going to hit hard with it herself anyway. So small buffs there to Naga. kind of good. I would really like to see people start using this, actually. I think it would be pretty good, the scepter. Nature's Prophet, Treant Bounty increase, so farming those little buggers up is going to be more beneficial to you. Treant Vision reduced drastically. Not that you're using too much for vision anyway, they are more a kind of a pushing technique, but this is a nerf to Nature's Prophet overall. This I'm very happy about. I am one of my most played heroes. My two most played heroes are Slark and Necrophos. But I 100% agree that the 30-second time penalty at level 1 is utterly insane. You get level 6 and you kill someone, they're down for like forever, and it's unfair. It is. I've had it done to myself and I've done it to others, and I'm just like, it's just broken. I've thought it for a very long time, but the damage factor has increased, so you are more likely to kill them, which I think is the preferred way around you'd want it, to be honest. It still does 30 seconds late game, which is still big, and it's still, the Aghanim Scepter is still broken. I think they should remove the buyback thing's a bit naughty for me. I still think that's pretty broken. I think they should remove that and then increase the damage factor even more, so you can just eliminate someone from the fight. I think it's 1.2 or something with Ags. That should increase that a little bit maybe. So, yeah. So I don't know. I'd say it's a buff. I call it a buff just because it's your damage output that's been increased. This is really irrelevant. You don't necessarily do it for the downtime at levels 1 and 2. You do it for the kills. Spike Carapace, fix Nyx Assassin, fix Spike Carapace not preventing damage when spell immune attackers damage you. That's cool. Still doesn't damage the spell immune target, but it shouldn't damage you either, because that's the way that the tooltip says it works, and it should still work. So with the spell immune, base HP regen increased from 2.5 to 3.5, trying to buff him up into that off lane position once again, which is good. Omnight Degeneron no longer pierces spell immunity. Small nerf to him, but that shouldn't pierce spell immunity either. Oracle Scepter, this is going to be really interesting. Reduces Purifying Flames cooldown from 2.25 seconds to 1, and lowers the cast point from 0.3 to 1 second. So you're going to be able to spam that spell out on people to, if you've got like Fate Seed It, you can, like, I don't know if the multiple instances are going to stack, but you can heal more allies, or you can use it to nuke down someone like very quickly. You know, you can nuke them, you can purge the nuke, and then you can nuke them again. Or you can pick up a Yules and you can nuke them, Yules them. You can nuke them, Fortune's End, nuke them, Yules them, drop them down, nuke them, Fortune's End. And you can actually put out a shitload of damage with Oracle. Would be pretty interesting to see. Maybe carry Oracle with a Scepter and an Octarine or something. Could be fun. We'll see. The Yules. Well, yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually kind of like this. I could see this getting picked up. OD. Arcane Intelligence Steel reduced from 2345 to 123. Good, but still not enough. Thing is so annoying. Arcane Orb mana cost increased from 100 to 100, 120, 140, 160. So if you are going to prioritise this over Essence Aura, you are going to suffer massively for it. That is huge mana increase. You're going to have to. I think you're going to have to go back to the 113 build, and he's going to have to go back to mid. He can't really stay in the safe lane too much, because safe lane ODs didn't pick up a bottle, whereas I feel like a bottle is going to be absolutely like crucial to him now. Astral Imprisonment cast range has been reduced by a considerable amount at level 1. Scales diminishingly and is the same at level 4. Again, you're not going to be able to pull off this safe lane OD thing as easily as you used to. He's going to need, if he's going to be using Arcane Orb to harass, which he again isn't going to be able to do as easily. It makes his lane a lot weaker. Late game is still pretty strong. Like I say, this 5 to 4 isn't massive, and then this becomes irrelevant once you've got max Arcane Aura as well. So he's still going to be strong late game. He's just weakened his lane a lot. Phantom's Assassin Stifling Dagger now does real physical attack. I expected more buffs out from her for this, but like I say, with the patch the way it is, with the pseudo random thing, it kind of is a bit of a nerf to her. Stifling Dagger now does real physical attack for 60 plus a percentage of your attack damage. All attack effects work and behave as if your hero performed them. Phantom Assassin's turn rate increased from 0.4 to 0.6. Now, took me a second to read this, and I also went and had a little play with it. So if you've got 200 attack damage, you're going to do 140 damage plus the 60. So you're going to hit that. Stifling Dagger is going to hit for 200, which is a lot. And also this attack effect works. So obviously Bash was used to, but now Stifling Dagger cleaves. If you've got a Battle Fury, your Stifling Dagger now cleaves. it's just it is a bit nuts. It's pretty funny. I did it I went to the demo hero and just got myself a load of rapiers and battle furies and just started throwing them at a big pile of axes, and they just evaporated from one stifling dagger. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Makes it a stronger ability. It's a really irritating ability anyway, but it just makes it more so. Phoenix Supernova Scepter now also increases the number of attacks needed to destroy Supernova. It's cool. I never used to pick it up on Phoenix. Really, it's a very situational one. If you had long cooldowns on non-ultimate abilities, allies had long cooldowns, you might consider using it on them, or you'd use it to save them if you could. But it's more likely to save them now as well, because it's going to be a lot harder to take down. I like this change. It's good. It makes Scepter a bit more viable on Phoenix. Puck increased illusionary orb speed by 1. Everyone thought this is a typo. Apparently, this is a reference to a little bit of a troll that they've done on Reddit. I'm not too sure about it. I'm not really too fussed about looking into it either. If anyone wants to put a comment in the comment section and put it, I might copy and paste it into the actual video. So, Pugna Netherward now treats illusions as creeps for hit count calculation, so it means you can't just pile your illusions onto it and kill it in a few hits. And you still can kill it with it, but it just takes a bit longer. They've done the same further down as well, which you'll see. Static link break distance for Razor increased by 100. So that busts his laning phase a little bit, makes him that mid lane dominator he used to be a little bit more. Farter will be happy. Ricky has been added to captain's mode. Now, what I want to see from Ricky, and I've been wanting to see for a while, a couple of patches ago in pubs, I hated coming against Ricky or even having them. They just used to roam around and not contribute to team fights at all. It was just a one-man game, and it was really boring. I want to see Ricky utilised as a team fight hero, and he is so close to being there for me. He really is. Blink strike damage has increased, so he has a higher damage output. So from 20, 40, 60, 80 to 60, 80, 100, 120. That is a pretty big damage increase, especially at level 1. You're going to be able to like blink strike someone for like 100 damage, like over 100 damage straight off the bat, which is just nuts. Say level 1, it's going to be level 2. Pick up your Invis first. Tricks of the Trade cast point improved from 0.4 to 0.3. So it casts a little bit faster, and Tricks of the Trade cooldown reduced from 40 to 40, 35, 30. So like I was saying, I'm really hoping that people start utilising him. I'm hoping some pros pick him up and start utilising him in a way that's fun, because Tricks of the Trade can be used in conjunction with stuff like Black Hole and RP, and as you will see soon with something like Storm. I really want to see people start utilising it. I've just got a feeling it's just set for some really good, cool combos that I'd like to see done. So I used to hate Ricky, but I see a lot of potential in the hero, and obviously Valve do as well, or Ice Frog does as well, because he keeps getting all these changes and buffs and tweaks and stuff constantly, all these big ones. So there is potential there for him. Rubik's Fadebolt. Fadebolt damage increase from 1742 10 to 80 to 75 152 25 300. Null field increased from 5 to 20% to 10 to 22%. Buff turn rate increased nerf, so 0.2. So he's got more of a nuke now basically. Fadebolt does a lot more damage. Just helps with his roaming and ganking sort of stuff, and Nullfield's level last anyway, but it makes everyone a little bit tankier. Sandstorm max channel time rescaled from 20 to 8, scaling to 80 to a flat 50. This means level 1 Sand King can start clearing the jungle, because level 1 Sandstorm didn't last long enough to be able to clear them. I'm pretty sure he can now clear it with it. I'll have to have a look, but you will only need level 3, at most level 2 for it. So a little bit buff there. Shadow Demon Disruption Illusion damage increased from 30 scaling up to 60% to 30 scaling up to 75%. So a buff to him in the later levels for disruption, so his illusions hit harder. So you get a big hard hitting hero in disruption. Your illusions are going to hit harder. Soul Catcher cooldown reduced, another little buff to him. So I think he still needs a little bit more than this. He's not picked up. The main thing with Shadow Demon is everything he does. There's other heroes that offer better solutions than he does. Shadow Fiend, Requiem of Souls lines travel distance rescaled from 975 1000 to 1225, rescaled to a flat 1000 across all 3 levels, so it travels 1000 units away from him. Requiem of Souls starting width increased from 75, 100 to 125 to a flat 125, so that's going to make it easier to hit that ult on a single target. Requiem of Souls end width rescaled from 400, 425, 450 straight to a 425 across all levels. So buff to level 1, nerf to level 3. Scepter also now increases Necromastery souls by 15, 25, 29, 36 to 22, 30, 38, 46. So at max levels he gets 10 extra souls, which is an extra 20 damage. Makes his Requiem bigger. I still don't think. I think this is another Alchemist situation where you'll take it if an Alch gives it you, but you're not really going to build it on him. He's just the hero before they added the Scepter. He was already really slot restricted, and there's so many items that are good and useful on him that you can't have them all. So I don't think the Scepter's a viable pickup. The change of Requiem, basically, it looks like it just makes it easier to land it on one target for me. So kind of like maybe you'll Shadow Fiend again, or just the straight up Shadow Blade one. We shall see. Again, you can benefit from the Shadow Blade building into the Silver's Edge, picking up the Ultimate Orb and then breaking it back down for the Skadi or the Manto, whatever he wants to build. Yeah, but he's still crap for the fact that what they did to the Razors in the last patch, they just nerfed him into the floor. This one, I'm going to straight up admit I don't really understand a great deal. Mass Serpent Lord splash mechanics reworked now deals 75% splash in 175 AoE. Okay, I get that, but this doesn't make any sense. 140 and 20%. At first I thought that was levels 1, 2 and 3, but then there's 75, 80, is that not levels 1, 2 and 3? I got pretty confused by it, but either way, they now do 75% splash damage and 175 AoE, that's how they now work. Silencer, it seems to me like, tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems like an overall nerf to him, but he's just never picked up. I never see him in my pub matches, I never see him in pros, so I don't know if someone's just abused Ice Frog with Silencer or something. He's gone, nope. But Last Word no longer slows. Arcane Curse, I'll skip, I don't know why they didn't put this in first, but Arcane Curse now slows movement speed by 9, 12, 15, 18%. But Arcane Curse base duration reduced from 7 to 6. Arcane Curse cooldown increased. So this is all nerfs so far. Glaze of Wisdom damage rescaled to do more in early levels and less in later levels. So this overall just seems like it makes him hit a little bit harder earlier, but I don't know. I don't understand this one. I feel like I was expecting a fair bit of buffs for Silencer, but that just seems like a bit of a nerf. It's just going to get picked up less. Skyrath Mage, Mystic Flare sets duration from 2.4 to 12 seconds. This is nuts. I had to read this several times. I was like, is that right? And it actually is. It's set to flare. If you can hold someone in place for 12 seconds for whatever reason, which you're not going to be able to, but it's going to take some serious coordination, you can literally just pepper them with that thing. Mystic Flare set to cooldown increase from 2010 0 to 2010 5, so you can't just spam loads of these things everywhere. The hilarious thing was I played with someone who used this and an axe stood underneath it with blade, like literally saw it go down and just walked underneath it and popped his blade mail, and Skyrath just went. So it's pretty funny, but if you get this right, like in a Chrono or something like that, it could be pretty good. So good against and with Faceless Void. Sniper shrapnel damage has increased from 12, 24, 36, 48 to 15, 30, 45, 60. So a lot of shrapnel damage coming out for him now. Resurgence of ho ho ha ha. Maybe. No, not really. It's not that much. It's a little bit of a buff to him, but like I say, the patch might be in his favour, so we'll see. Spectral Dagger no longer goes through spell immunity. Path can still follow spell immune units. Okay, so it doesn't slow them, doesn't do damage, but you can Spectre still moves quicker along the little black path. Haunt cooldown increase. This is the nerf that was needed. The level 1 and 2 Haunt was just the cooldown was too much. I feel this is a little bit generous, if I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like 180, 140, 120 would have been fair still. I'm a big Spectre player. I play Spectre, but I played it before this Badman build and all this nonsense. I played a lot of Spectre before that. In fact, if anything, I've played a less since she's been popular, which is what I tend to do, which is why I'm stuck in the trenches, because I'm like, no, don't want to play them heroes just because they're good, when really I should. Haunt illusions are no longer unstunnable, so if you get jumped by them, you can stun them and walk away. Agility growth reduced, so she scales into the late game. Damage scales less into the late game. Okay, overall nerfs to Spectre. They weren't needed. She is powerful. Her late game's the same with her ult with regards, but she won't hit anywhere near as hard. 0.4 is actually quite a lot per level. So So nerf the late game. I think that's fair. She was. I don't think there's anyone that out carried a late game. Whereas now there's going to be options against her. With things like when you get a BKB against her and stuff, and she's not going to hit as hard, so you can survive longer against her. I mean, but like I say, with the way Abyssal Blade now works, that's going to benefit her a great deal. I really see her picking up Abyssal Blades, and she can just haunt and just overwhelm you just straight away. Just haunt, bang, there. Next thing you're held in place, and she just wails on you. So I still think she's going to be strong. Yeah, yeah, I really do. But I think you are going to have to go to Vanguard build with her now. Storm Spirits, mentioned this briefly earlier. Storm Spirits, Aghanim Scepter, Electric Vortex to be a 475 AoE ability around your hero, requires vision over the units to affect them. So this is like Black Hole, basically. Can be BKB if you see him coming in, but this could make for quite a few really fun plays. Against Storm is another one of those heroes that is really, really slot restricted. You're going to want to get a Bloodstone, you're going to want to get an Orchid before you get an Ags on him. However, Ags does offer a decent amount of stats, and Storm benefits from stats because he is pretty squishy. So we will see. This could be pretty fun. We'll leave this to Sumail. We'll let him sort this one out, or we'll let Blitz sort it out. Yeah, there you go. There's a request. Blitz, get on it. Let's see how this works. Base movement speed on Sven reduced by 5. Still going to have his Warcry bonus movement speed. Still going to pick up Sanjin Yashia. So small nerf, but not massive. Terrorblade base armor increased by 3. This is ridiculous. Terrorblade now has 10 base armor. 10 armor at level 1. What? You're gonna get a Ring of Protection 12. If someone picks Terrorblade, pick a nuker. You are going to need it because you're not going to be able to right click him. Because he's just going to build more armor and just be ridiculous. He gets like an AC or something like that. It's just going to be naughty. So yeah, he could be broken. He could be the MMR game. If you're in the trenches, play Terrorblade. Timbersaw, Well in Death buff duration, debuff duration increased from 11 to 14 seconds. Okay, cool. So buff. Reactive armor regen and armor per stack increased from 1 to 1.2. So, okay, so reactive armor stacks better now. So this makes Timbersaw a stronger offlaner again. Especially if this is an agility patch and there's a lot of right clickers. Timbersaw does really well against right clickers. If the nukes have fallen off, I think if it is an agility patch, Timbersaw's going to be pretty broken. So all you Timbersaw players out there, smile on your face. Tinker, rearm mana cost reduced ever so slightly, 25 per level. Just means he stays out and about a little bit longer. Rearm can no longer refresh Pipe of Insight. That's due to the fact that Pipe no longer has a like how often you can get, like I was saying before, you can, in one of the previous videos, you can now, if you've not watched them with Pipe, when it wears off, if someone else activates Pipe, you still get a barrier again. There's no kind of overlap cooldown, so that just stops him just keep like standing there and just refreshing Pipe constantly, because that's all he'd do. He'd just stand there and refresh Pipe and just keep it on. So that's cool. Base intelligence increased from 27 to 30, so that's a bit of a spell amp for him as well. He will really benefit from that spell amp thing actually, because he's got some really heavy nukes, and he does tend to build stuff like Shivas and stuff like that, you know, intelligence hexes, so he will end up with a lot of intelligence and therefore a lot of a damage amp. Tree Amp Protector, Nature's Guy's tree search radius reduced from 375 to 350, so you have to be close to a tree to be invis. Your grace duration from 1 second to 1.75, so you have less time to react if you accidentally break it, or you're going to break it. Nature's Guy's movement speed increased from 10% to 14, 16, 18 and 20. So that's good from level 1 and even better further on. So it just makes him a lot more mobile around the map. But however, you have to be more cautious with the way you move. Leech Seed cooldown reduction from 16, 14, 12, 10 to 16, 13, 10 and 7. So the same at level 1, but possibly worth putting extra points into it, maybe. Well, I don't know, 16 and 7, I don't know. Maybe not. We shall see. Troll Warlord, ranged whirling axes cooldown reduced from 20, 18, 16, 14 to 19, 16, 13, 10. So better at all levels. Further max stacks increase from 6 to 7, so he's going to be hitting a little bit faster once he gets the. So sniper buff, troll buff. Are we going back? We're going backwards, boys. I hope not. Tusk Walrus Kick cooldown reduced from 12 to 8. Walrus Kick damage increased from 200 to 350. I still don't think people are going to pick up an Scepter on Tusk. I think it's another Alchemist situation, but hey, there you go. Okay. Small buffs to spell that never gets used. Tombstone now treats illusions as creeps for hit count calculation, similar to the Pugnaward thing earlier. Just means that people like PL are going to struggle to kill his tomb as easily as they used to. Still going to be able to get through it pretty quick though. Vengeful Spirit, Magic Missile, Stun rescaled. So they've simplified it a little bit, but not a great deal. It is worse at level 1, but better at level 4, ever so slightly in both departments. Small nerf, I'd say. Looking at the numbers, it's a small nerf. Viper, poison attack is no longer an attack modifier. This is really, really painful. I played against the Viper yesterday. He was dead toxic as well, and he was thrown out. He had a Desolator, and his right click was utterly insane. It's really, really annoying. So you can now lifesteal with it. You can now, like I said, Desolator with it. It's pretty painful to experience. It's going to be dealt with. Like I say, with the old school mid lane dominators are Viper and Razor, and they've both had buffs, so expect to see them back on the mid lane again. Again, these are two Farta heroes. That's what springs to mind here. You should be pretty happy. Visage, Gravekeeper's Cloak recharge time reduced from 4 to 3. Gravekeeper's Cloak minimum damage threshold increased from 2 to 15. Stone Form stun delay reduction. So this is not going to proc on low tick damage things. Okay. Okay, cool. Stone Form stun delay reduced 1.4, so 0.15 seconds reduce on Stone Form delay. Okay, cool. So slight, pretty decent bust to Visage overall. Not a big Visage player, but it seems like it's pretty good for him, especially his stun one. It's going to be harder to dodge those stuns. Warlock Shadow Word cast range increased from 500 to 525, 600, 675, 750. Wow, this is awesome. I'm yet to play around with this one. Fatal Bonds cooldown reduced from 25 to 24, 22, 20, 18. So Fatal Bond Shadow Word is going to be much more castable and much more annoying. I think this is good for support Warlock, especially with the Shadow Word thing. You can heal up and harass from a much safer range, but then again, maybe mid lane as well. If you get a high ground ward on mid lane, you're just going to really be able to annoy people. But yeah, mid lane Warlock's going to be pretty good. Flaming Fist damage changed from 40% to chance to 100% chance, and it goes from 80, 115 to 150 to 40, 50, 60. That's cool. That's the Golem passive. They don't hit very fast, so the chance of them actually proccing it at 40% was actually pretty low. Now they are guaranteed going to do it, so they are going to do a lot of damage, these Golems, if they hit you. So you're not going to want to try and man fight them at all. Weaver time lapse now just joins projectiles. I feel like that always should have done, because it's like a bit of a time travel kind of thing, so I don't feel like you should have ever had the projectile on in that sense. Time lapse sets cooldown reduced. Still don't think you're going to pick it up, and I still don't think support Weaver is viable. Weaver now loses unit collision immediately when casting Sakuchi rather than after fading. So that's like his phase thing, I think. It's like you just phase immediately as soon as you cast it. You start phasing through units. Winter Wyvern, Aghanim Scepter. This is not what I expected. I expected him to kind of rebuff his ult a little bit. Maybe the Ags makes it act like it used to. That would have been a cool Ags upgrade for Winter Wyvern. Don't know why they didn't bother it, because then you have to commit resources and gold to be able to get that off. Because the thing that was broken about it the way it used to be is how good it was early game. Whereas if you put a Scepter on, Wyvern won't be able to do it until later anyway, so it's just a little bit annoying. But instead, it makes Arctic Burn a toggleable ability that costs toggleable. I don't even know if that's a word, and drains 40 mana per second. Activation cost mana is activation mana cost is the same as the current 120, 110, 190. No longer has a limit on number of attacks per target. So basically she can now, if you have an insane amount of mana regen, there's a good chance you are able to, like if you get like a Bloodstone or something, you can literally just fly around in Arctic Burn all the time, which is pretty cool. Don't know if it's how that's going to work. I don't see many support Winter Wyverns picking that up. Winter's Curse's cooldown has been reduced from 120, 110, 100 to 90. There's the little bit of a buff to it. I still think it's a poor ultimate now. I feel like the main target should be able to take damage from all sources. Something like that. I feel they over nerfed it. Anyway, Wraith King, Mortal Strike now does critical hit for double the value when attacking non-heroes. This increases his farm rate. Like I say, Echo Saber might be pretty good on him. That's the double attack one. This could also help with it. If he's double attacking and he crits both of them, things are just going to drop. So it could be good for his farming, that. Like I say, this is a strength patch. Wraith King's going to be very happy, especially with the nerfs that have been going on recently to Invoker and stuff. Zeus, static field damage reduced from 5, 7, 9, 11% to 4, 6, 8 and 10%. So 1% drop at all levels on his static field. That's quite a big nerf for him, really. I know 1% doesn't seem like much, but at all levels that's quite a lot. Static field no longer disables Blink Dagger. It was always so annoying that did that anyway. You try and hide in the trees and you take static field damage and all of a sudden you couldn't blink. It was really irritating. Thunder God's Wrath damage reduced. It's the same at level 1, but reduced by 25 at level 2 and reduced by 50 at level 3. I kind of feel like it should have been the other way around. I feel like it should have been nerfed. Not nerfed at max level and nerfed at early level, giving you a chance to kind of get some magic resistance and BKBs to deal with it. But hey, there's a bit of a nerf. They are pretty big nerfs to Zeus, considering they've just got his Arcana out as well. So people have bought the Arcana and now he's been nerfed into the ground. So I don't think this is an intelligence patch as it stands. I mean, I don't know if this is all to kind of counteract the fact. In fact, yeah, come to think of it, 220 foot, so it's the same at level 1. As it gets into the later levels, you're going to start getting damage amp anyway, and it's the same with these percentage things. I don't know how the percentage things work with damage amp, and if you still get it or what, but either way, if he stacks up on intelligence, his Thunder God's Wrath's probably going to do more than 475 damage late game. So we will see on that one. But yeah, so that's the end of it. I'm actually really excited for this patch to hit. I don't know when it's going to hit. The patch notes only came out last night, so less than 24 hours ago. I'm pretty excited for it, especially if it's a straight. I prefer this. I don't like it. I'm not a big intelligence hero player. I do like the more fun of the right-clicky, strength, tanky, agility stuff. So I'm actually quite excited for it. New items look like a load of fun. I think these are the most items they've ever introduced in one patch. But as it stands, I'm going to go off onto the test client and I'm going to play a little bit more. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you stuck around for all 3, if you only watched this one, then fair enough. But thanks for watching anyway, guys. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And until then, guys, have some fun.